So I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what you said about the defense. The last time we saw this defense at home, they seemed to come out a little bit lethargic. They came out lethargic, it seemed, on Sunday night.
Mhm.
What do you think is going to be like? What was the reason for that? Do you think? I personally think the Bills were kind of looking ahead, and maybe that's why they lost to the Rams because they were looking to prove something against the Lions. I think the San Francisco 49ers were looking to prove something against the Lions. And now we've got the Vikings, of course, who are looking to prove something against the Lions. You know, Byron Murphy, every time you put a microphone in that man's face, he talks about how you shouldn't be talking about the Lions. You should be talking about us. You know, what we're doing is great. You know, a lot of bulletin board material. So what do you think is going to be the energy level? Are they going to bring that black Air Force energy with the black, uniforms this Sunday night?
I think the uniforms are going to look cool for the fans. It's going to be cool because they do the blackout and they bring out the uniforms and they look hard and all those things. And hey, Anthony, I don't know if they got a whole line of those jerseys still left over there. I know the black jerseys sell out over here all day.
Oh,
So
I love them. I've been asking for years and years for them to bring the black jerseys back. I was one of those who didn't believe in the curse. I am delighted that they are
yeah,
back.
they
They
look
look
mean. They look mean in them.
fire.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So put it like this, man. Let's look at it. And if we go back and you talk about Buffalo, I look at Buffalo Bills, tough team. They have balance. They have a dynamic quarterback. They have a defense that plays aggressive. And they, as close as that people may want to think that game was, it wasn't as close as it looked, right? The Buffalo was basically scoring at will. We look at San Francisco, and then we fast forward, and I don't think there were any punts, right, in the entire game, and that's not a good thing when you're talking about you can't rely on your defense. I mean, your offense to score every single time they touch the ball. That's what they had to do against Buffalo. That's basically what they had to pretty much do against San Fran up to a certain point late into the game. And then you look at Minnesota. I think they're going to have problems with teams that have a balance of run and pass because we saw the exposure against San Francisco in the play action. Everyone from receivers to tight ends getting behind our safeties. We see a lot of people are now starting to put picks on our slots. If you get Branch coming down and playing over a slot, they're trying to pick him. They're picking our linebackers who, they're not just used to coverage all the time. And I think teams have gradually and slowly been picking apart areas of weakness and exposure. And that's before they even get to the fact that they already taken a risk going man-to-man coverage. Well, now you're going to be facing Minnesota. They have a four-person attack. They have running back, they got tight end, they got two wide receivers, right? And they have a quarterback that's playing at probably the best he's played in his career. And you have a defense that has some playmakers on their side. So I think that's where the struggle, that's why I start to become a little bit more nervous than when I see one-dimensional offenses that the defense faces, where they got to shop one receiver, one running back, right? Or when they have a defense where they just really don't have a secondary and our offense can go out there and have their way. So this is going to be, I'm a little nervous when I look at the matchup problems that could potentially occur. And I think Minnesota's had enough time and enough footage now to go in and look at where those areas of opportunity will be. I think they can slow the game down because they have a running game, but I think they can also apply pressure and force the tempo of our Lions offense because of the defensive pressure that they will dial up. So there's a lot of things to look at here. So the long answer that was to the jerseys and to the environment and those things, I don't think they care. I think we care. But at the end of it, it's all about the game plan, and the NFL is all about matchups. And this is a matchup issue, in my opinion, for the Lions. But I think the advantage goes to them because of the fact that they beat them. Minnesota thinks that was a fluke, and they want to come in and now be, spoiler at the Lions' home stadium. So I think there's a lot that's going to be happening in this game. Two well matched up teams. It's incredible that they're both 14-2. This has been one heck of a year for the NFC North.
Is there a quick question? Do you give any credence to streaks? because it seems as though when we look at the last 6 matchups, the Lions have dominated this rivalry. We're 5-1 in the last 6 attempts. Kevin O'Connell is 1-4 against the Lions. Brian Flores has never beat the Lions. So is there something in a player's mind that kind of creeps in, or does that not matter at all?
I don't think it matters. I think you pay attention to, as I mentioned before, the momentum. But I don't think we're going to pay a ton of attention to. I think it's you when you line up. There's a lot that comes into play in your preparation and the time leading up to it. But once you play it, you're at restart. It doesn't matter. Even if you as a player, they always tell you if you had a good game or a bad game, it doesn't matter. It becomes equal. Whether you beat a team or lost to a team the previous time or not, it doesn't matter. It's about how do you prepare? How do you make adjustments? All teams have to make adjustments. Players all have to do some inner soul searching and corrections. But at the same time, you have to keep yourself playing at a high level. You look at how many players on the Detroit Lions are playing offensively at a very high level. That's what's gotten them here. So the pressure is you can't step off the pedal. You can't fall off. You can't have a bad game. You can't fall into penalties. You can't fall in certain long situations. You can't fall into incompletions. There's an expectation that has become the engine that makes this offense go. Defensively, it's not giving up certain things. Like all these things take away whether or not you care about how often something has occurred. So when you get into the 10 wins, 5 wins, 3 of these, it doesn't matter. It comes down to this particular moment. And I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the locker room right now, because I know with Coach Campbell, he says the same thing every week. And it's out of passion, it's out of commitment, and it's about trust and belief in each other. But then his coordinators and everyone, he has everyone. This is the first time I've seen this. You have everyone on the same page, believing in the same thing. Whatever it is that you do your best. Think about how many playbooks. I have to go get a big playbook like this to typically give to people. All he's asking is he's asking like 3, 4, 5 things. That's it. If you do these 3 to 5 things, everyone, and commit to those, we'll live with the results. Come on. Simplicity at its highest level.
Right. All right. Anthony, you got any questions for that?
No, I think Herm summed it up quite well in terms of the defense. We're struggling with the lack of linebackers at the moment. These guys, a lot of them have been special teamers. JRM's just back from injury, and you're putting an awful lot of pressure on Jack Campbell, who's the second-year guy, to try and run everything in there. And you saw the 49ers, Kittle, it's just devastating having him on some of these guys, and it's taking our secondary out the equation. And then the lack of a pass rush as well is also starting to affect things, because if you can't get to the quarterback too quick, he's got an easy out down the middle of the field to get it out there, or he's got time to hit us deep with it, and the guys in the secondary are having to hold up for a long time. Is there anything schematically you can see them doing better, Herm, in this situation? Because it's just you're so far down your depth chart in some areas. It's like it almost feels impossible for them to be able to do anything a lot different. I mean, I know having Anceloni back would be huge. Like it feels like they do need a bit of communication on there, someone just to settle them down. When the backs are to the wall, teams are pressing on them quickly. Obviously, that lack of leadership in there seems to be hurting as well. But it just seems very difficult to see what else he can really do differently at this moment in time.
You know what? I give Jack Campbell another year. I think this was a defining year for him. You look at him; he's leading the Lions in thinking tackles. He has really made his presence known. I've seen him, get exposed, obviously in pass coverage. I don't think that's a big strength of his. I think he's played well at times, but his run support, his ability to apply additional pressure when he steps up into the line, he's very disruptive because of his size and the fact that he's able to get in there and really be a force. That mid-level is, I see everyone pulling the corners out. They're pulling the safeties out just so they can get the exposure on the linebackers. When you look at Hawkinson, and we know TJ from being here, they're going to be going after that. And I wouldn't be surprised if also they have the running backs involved in the passing attack a little bit heavier. So that means our linebackers going to have to support. We've seen Branch have to come down and play a little nickel or play a little bit on the slot receivers. So, you know, when he's been pulled out of the secondary, obviously his impact of the deep passes and those things have kind of gone away, because now you got Kirby Joseph trying to play the entire, deep field on all thirds of the field, right? So I think right now the pass rush is the quickest way to solve some of their defensive issues, to force quarterbacks to get the ball out faster, to not be able to get to their second and third reads. But as long as that occurs, I mean, some of the pitch and catch that we saw with Purdy was too easy. I mean, it was really, it was, you know, they called some of the picks. Teams are going to clean up those picks. Okay. Some of those were just getting called, and the big plays with Kittle kept getting called back. But if you look at it, man, it's just, you clean up that they didn't really need to have the pick, right? To make those things happen. So defensively, there's a lot to clean up. Offensively, they can't have a fall off, especially against the Vikings. Otherwise, I think they have big capability. It's good seeing J-Mo get back involved. I mean, there's so many matchups. I mean, if you look at this right now, I go, what are the biggest matchups we're looking at? Okay, if we look at defense, I look at the defensive side. There's been some leakage on the offensive side for the Lions on their line. That line's a big line. It's a solid line, but there's been some leakage, all right, in terms of people getting pressure. We're asking a lot from a team that has gone, but right now they're at the most pivotal moment of the entire season. And I think they'll come through with it. I really do. I really do. In my heart and soul, I feel that they will still handle the Vikings.